afternoon, good evening, wherever and whenever in the world you're watching this. I just get such a kick out of saying that every time, like wherever and whenever you're watching this. Just an amazing time to be alive with all this technology that we have. And my name is Joan Kling, and I have this show every Sunday morning, and it's called Stories of Serendipity and Synchronicity because I love listening to stories and I love just exploring and pausing for the awe and wonder of life. And ever since I was a child, I was very inquisitive, ask a lot of questions like, but why? But how come? But what if? What if that didn't happen? What if, how did that happen? And really never got answers because it's happen chance and coincidence. And a lot of times people can't explain it. And so, hey, Jamie, here's my coach that lives in London.
Amazing.
Amazing.
I hope he's a Chelsea fan.
Let us know if you're a Chelsea fan, Jamie. I know he told me, but I think it's the other. I'm pretty sure it's the other one. Pretty sure.
Well,
Braden and I met totally serendipitously online. Well, Braden reached out to me, one of like hundreds of people that contact me for do I need help with my social media and making more money and things like that. But what caught me was his really cool picture. I like the picture, and then the white, it's like orange, and then the white behind it, and your baseball cap. And then what really caught me was he said he was he had dropped out of college 5 times, and something about his mother's Facebook. But okay, so I wrote him back, and I'm like, okay, at least you're getting a response because of that. So I'm going to let Braden introduce himself, Braden Wallake, and let's see where the conversation goes because his life is full of stories and serendipity. Okay,
absolutely.
Braden, tell us who you are.
Absolutely. So I'm Braden. I live in a van full time with my girlfriend and my dog Roscoe. We are building a business as we travel. So far, since we got the van in end of 2019, we've been to, I think we just got to our 24th national park in the last year and a half. So it's been a really good journey. So I think that's a national park every 3 weeks on average. So pretty awesome. We've been to some awesome hikes in Yosemite, to Glacier, to all the way down to the Everglades in Florida, and all the ones in California, except we missed one. Just did Crater Lake in Oregon. And yeah, it's been really great. We have an entirely remote team. So everybody who works for us is all over the world. We've got employees in the Philippines, Ireland. He's a Liverpool fan. And as well as all across the country as well. So it's been a really, really fun journey. As for my, I guess, profile on LinkedIn, a lot of, I don't know, sticks in the mud, am I allowed to say that, are on LinkedIn. And just, I feel like LinkedIn is this amazing platform, but people are kind of almost nervous to be themselves too much on it. And so I just kind of like poke fun of kind of a lot of the stuff that we see on LinkedIn. And I tried to, I guess, make my life a little more interesting in terms of taking the fact that I've dropped out of college 5 different times. And then I always see people who put themselves as featured on Forbes and Entrepreneur.com and ABC and NBC. So I decided to say, as featured on my mom's Facebook profile picture. So
I just love that. Love it.
So yeah, just trying to have a little fun with a platform that I think could use even a little bit more fun. And I think it's a great place. It's where we spend all of our time, but just trying to make myself a little bit separate from everybody else that's out there. So clearly, I guess it worked. So that's how we're here.
Mm-hmm. Well, my first question is, first of all, before we get to my questions, I didn't know this, but as always, Jamie educates me that I knew we were supposed to never talk about what religion, politics. I feel like there's 3. Sex, maybe, I don't know, but I didn't know football was in there.
Apparently, it's football.
So which we won't say soccer. We'll just say football.
We'll just say football. That's fine.
You've been to 24 national parks. How many are there?
More than 24. I think there are 50 something.
Wow, so you're doing pretty well.
We're doing pretty well. Yeah, a couple of the parks so Florida has one or two more that we didn't get to visit because they were islands, and our van, despite how great it is, doesn't enjoy floating. And same with the ones in California, the Channel Islands, also didn't get to go to that. So we're working our way through them.
That's cool. So in San Diego, I know we have state parks. I don't think we have any national parks in San Diego.
So I think the closest national park to you would be Joshua Tree.
Okay, I've been there. Yeah.
Yeah, Joshua Tree. And you guys have Big Bear close, which is, I believe, state park. And
very close. Yeah.
Yeah. And we spent some time there this year too. Really, really cool area. But I don't think you have any national parks. I think, yeah, Joshua Tree, Death Valley, and then the Channel Islands are the three closest ones to you. Yeah.
But in the background, that looks like a map of Baja. So are you gonna go international?
Ah, interesting. It's actually the Pacific Coast Trail, so it's Washington, Oregon, California. So yeah, so we can see. I see San Diego on there. It's funny you said that though, because we are planning to go to Baja in January for 4 or 5 months. But this is actually not my room. We're with my girlfriend's friend at Oregon State. He's getting his master's here, and he has done a lot of that Pacific Coast. So that's why that map's behind me. That's cool. Yeah. Yeah, super cool.
Not a good time to be in some of the parts, right? Because it's still snowing here and there.
Yeah, we've timed things almost just wrong. In terms of, so Kings Canyon and Sequoia, which have Mount Whitney, which we're going to do here in a couple of weeks. We stopped by there already, and we couldn't do any of the Kings Canyon National Park because it was completely closed by snow. Same with Lassen Volcano, which is a national park I've never heard of until we were right next to it. It's in Northern Cali, and has all 5 different types of volcanoes in it, but the road was open for like half a mile, and that's all you could do, and the rest was closed. So we didn't even add that one to our list of the ones that we had done because we didn't really feel like we had done it at all.
It gets like a 0.5.
Yeah, like a 0.5. Yeah, we've been to 24.5 parks. Yeah.
And so you actually do not have a home base?
Do not have a home base. Yeah. So Emily, my girlfriend, she was going to Ohio State getting her master's in animal science. I was actually living abroad in 2017. Me and my dog, Roscoe, we lived in Dominican, Costa Rica, Ecuador, and Nicaragua for the entire year. He ended up hurting his back, got a herniated disc. So I brought him home, got him back surgery, and she was actually studying right next to the place where he got his back surgery. And we met via an online app by Bumble, and happened to be in the same exact place. And we're like, yeah, let's do it. And then I was like, hey, I know you're getting your master's in animal science. Why don't we get a van and go travel and do marketing and sales stuff? And she was like, I guess. So she graduated in August 2019, and we've been doing the business stuff ever since.
And so what about animals as you go?
We see animals, we admire the animals, and Emily tells me lots of interesting facts about the animals and when she studied animal nutrition, it's all a lot of cells and a lot of, microscopic views of things. So she'll teach me all kinds of stuff about cows. She constantly quizzes me on the different types of cows. It's the one quiz I continuously fail. I've been a pretty good test taker my whole life, but if she asks me what type of cow that is, I never have any idea. So I just say Jerseys because those are her favorite. Apparently there's Jerseys and Guernseys and Angus and Highland, and there's all these different types of cows, which I had no idea of. And yeah, that's the one thing that we see the most, and I get the quiz wrong over and over and over.
I'm impressed. I just thought there was,
same white ones and black ones and brown ones.
No, I knew male and female. No, even a male is not a cow, right?
You're talking to the wrong person.
You're talking to somebody who this is serious. I grew up in the concrete jungle of Philadelphia, and I seriously thought a pony, till very recently, a pony was like saying a puppy or a kitten. Like a pony grew into a horse.
That's what I thought too.
And so I still look at a pony and I'm going, Well, it looks like a horse. It's
Absolutely.
not like a miniature pony.
Well, they have ponies and they have miniature horses too, which just
that's it.
is extra confusing, right? So I don't know what's what at this point. And then donkeys, and then you have in the West you have burros, which are just wild donkeys, which are different than wild horses. Mm-hmm. So I'm just here to admire them. I just want to see sea otters. That's the one thing I haven't seen yet in California. That's my favorite animal, and so I've yet to see one in the wild. So that's my only goal is on the way.
So have you been to Monterey?
Not Mexico, right? Yeah, okay. We were driving that way, ended up coming back south to go back to Los Angeles for a while. Ended up almost skipping it because we ended up going towards Death Valley. I have ADHD and I have to get my Adderall prescription filled every 30 days. And California doesn't allow you to fulfill that type of prescription because it's a class 2 whatever restricted drug, and doesn't allow you to fill that prescription if it comes from an outside doctor, outside of the state doctor. So every 30 days we have to make a border run from California to, we've done it to Arizona, we've done it to Las Vegas, we've done it to Reno. And so once we did the one to Vegas, we kind of were like, okay, maybe we shouldn't go all the way back to the coast because that's quite a bit of driving. So we're going to go to Monterey, ended up having to make a border run, which sounds so funny. And then just kind of have continued north through the mountains since then.
Amazing.
But I've heard that's where the sea otters are.
You'll be able to, I mean, there are other places, but you'll see them there. You'll see them there in the wild, as opposed to going into a
aquarium.
Aquarium.
Yeah. There's an Oregon aquarium that we could have gone and seen them in, and I said, I don't care. I don't want to see them in an aquarium. I want to see them in the wild. So here we are. Still no sea otters.
I got to tell you, so far I've learned a lot.
Me too.
And so you mentioned ADD. Do you feel comfortable, or do you think it's okay to talk about that?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so the little that I read, you sent me a video. That was another cool thing because that was a really cool marketing thing for you to do. That I said, oh my God, I got to hear about that. Your mom still loves you, and you flunked out of college, and then you, in the 1 or 2 minute video response that you sent me, you said, yeah, I have ADHD, and I'd like to know more about that. I have it. I swear I have it, and never diagnosed, and just struggled with life and annoyed. I used to annoy people because I was seriously like, there's a butterfly, and Jamie, he's my coach, if he's still there, because it's nighttime there. I couldn't finish. I seriously couldn't finish anything. Like, he gives me so many assignments, and I'm like, oh, I started it, but I haven't finished it. Yeah. So let's hear.
How we can have it. Absolutely. So I guess I can kind of scroll through quickly childhood life where teachers couldn't figure out why I understood everything, but my grades would just suffer. So I recently took a test, and I don't want this to sound as bragging. I recently took it's an IQ intelligence kind of a test just to see kind of where I rank. And it was top 0.01% in the whole world in terms of just like understanding things quickly. And teachers just couldn't comprehend it. But whenever I took tests as a kid, because I was so smart, I could always, get good enough grades. Right. So, and that's kind of what kept me at decent-ish grades, C's and B minuses and things like that. And then if I just didn't care about a subject, there was no chance of me doing anything with it. Like, the homework was going to happen between periods, 10 minutes to try and finish it up. And sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't. And it's just, so it was always a constant battle. Actually in 8th grade got grounded for 36 weeks because my parents just couldn't figure out what the heck to do with me. So 36 weeks of grounding and I had to do, I think 2 hours or 4 hours of homework every single night, just like make sure I got the homework done, which never actually happened. I would just pretend like I was doing the homework because can't just force an ADHD kid to. My parents didn't know that. They were just trying to figure out the things. So then I started college, dropped out of college. This is the whole story of, the 5 times college dropout. So I went to freshman year of college and ended up, falling in love with ping pong, beat everybody in the entire branch campus of Ohio State that I was at. And but grades suffered because I was playing like 13, 14 hours a day. Went to main campus, found euchre and spades and hearts, and played a lot of cards. And that was fascinating because I kept my brain occupied, but I was still, grades were suffering. Ended up getting an internship eventually at Disney World and got fired actually from Disney World, which it's not something I'm proud of, but it was, just a thing that happened. When I came home, my mom said, "We're going to take you to an ADHD doctor here in Columbus. He's a psychiatrist that specializes in ADHD." And we went, and I took an IQ test that was like, your regular IQ. Then there was an IQ test based around your active memory, which is just like, remembering things that quickly happen. And Joe, and I assume you feel it too. As soon as like something is out of sight, it's kind of out of mind. So that Jamie may remind you something, and you're like, yeah, and you have full intentions to do it. Then as soon as you close out of that chat window with Jamie, or as soon as you get off the phone or anything like that, it's not that you are trying to not do the things for them anymore. Mm-hmm. And so when I took that IQ test, my score went down a lot compared to my regular IQ test. That's when I determined I had ADHD. Then they started me on Ritalin.
Wait, can I interrupt for a second? How old are you at this point? How old are you?
30 years old.
30. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
And you kind of went like,
30.
And even your face is going 30.
Well, I don't feel 30. So like just saying it doesn't feel like an accurate representation. Yesterday, so we're at Oregon State right now. And yesterday we were on Oregon State's campus, and they have these little 6-wheeled bots that deliver food all across campus. And I was like, I have to get it. So I found the place where they fill up the bots with the food, ordered it from there, but put like the delivery point like a block away, ended up walking with the robot. And I felt like a giant kid because I was like, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. You get there, you swipe the app, you say, hey, open up, you grab it, you grab your food out of this little bot, and it's so cool. And I messed with the bot a little bit to see how like it would go around me. I would stand in its way, and it would, try to shuffle itself forward, and you'd stand in its way and like, all right, jerk, and then it would go back the other way and eventually work its way around you. So when I say 30 like that, it's because I'm like, well, I guess I am 30. I may be like 17, 18 in spirit. Awesome. Yeah.
I hope you always stay like that. I feel the same exact way.
Yeah. I don't know if I just have a young soul that hasn't experienced much in life, of all the generations before me that it's lived, or whatever it is. But yeah, something very, very young, I guess, about the way I am.
It's like I call myself Benjamin Button sometimes.
Yeah, it's perfect.
I just keep getting older. I mean, I keep getting older chronologically and younger
spiritually.
Spiritually. Exactly. Yeah. Spiritually. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so you go to see the doc, you're 30.
So so at this point, when I went to go see the doc, I was 22. So I've been on, finally got diagnosed. Well, let's see. Yeah. Or 21, somewhere around that range. So finally got to see the doc, started to get meds, and I was like, wow, this is kind of game changing. I was studying things and people just thought I would never wanted to study, and it was just fun all the time. And I was just like learning things. And then I went back to school with Adderall in my arsenal and got all A's and a B+. And it was like, oh, what do you know? Braden's not as stupid as his grades have made him seem his entire life. So then I dropped out of college because I'm lucky enough that my parents, my dad and my stepmom, serial entrepreneurs. They've owned a bunch of real estate. They just bought a golf course. They own a daycare. We've had gyms and a previous golf course. And I've had that kind of entrepreneur mentality. And then my mom, who has been the opposite side, which is the good grades, go to school, have that. She actually ended up starting her own business. So I was like, okay, someone's up with this entrepreneurship thing. So I dropped out of college to do that. I was working at a bank as well. Was like, all right, I don't want to work at this bank anymore. I'm just going to be self-employed. I made things kind of happen. I was around 24. Kind of just made things work since then. I had done quite a few like random things, such as like buying and selling electronics on Craigslist, phones, buy one for $50, sell it for $100. Then I got into marketing, started HyperSocial, which is the current company, back in 2016. Originally, we did a lot with Instagram. Then we changed to focus on B2B. So we do a lot with LinkedIn since 2019, and it's been kind of a fun journey since. However, with the ADHD thing, I still have the consistent like, hey, Braden, can you do this thing for me? And I'm like, yeah, absolutely. And they're like, okay, but like, where's it at? And I'm like, oh yeah, that thing that I remember it now. It comes across my mind that you had told me that 2 weeks ago. So it's definitely a struggle, even still, even with Adderall, even with that. And I'm also with ADHD, and Joan, if you were ever to go to a doctor, and anybody who potentially has ADHD, I'm very, very cautious to give out the advice of getting Adderall. As much as Adderall has helped me kind of figure out my life, it has a lot of bad side effects too. Luckily, I've been working with my doctor. My doctor really trusts me because I don't want to get addicted, because if you look at the chemical structure of Adderall comparatively to meth, it's one hydrogen atom different of it. So it's a very, very potentially addictive and harmful life drug. So I've been very, very cautious to always take weekends off from taking it, which usually results in a crash on Sundays. We now call it sleepy Sundays, because I will sleep for about 18, 19 hours on Sundays, which we're here now. So I don't really know what's up with today, but
thanks for getting up.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, there was a Chelsea game on earlier, final game of the season, so that was an extra benefit of getting up as well. So, but yeah, there's still going to be lots of things that you struggle with, and with it has resulted in a lot. It's been a big struggle, like eating during the days. So just like remembering to eat lunch because you're so busy working or doing the other things. A little bit quick to anger while I'm on Adderall. Just like things hit you a little bit harder because you just are more, even more receptive of things that are happening around you. And so, yeah, so there's definitely some downsides of it as well. So like, I always kind of recommend anybody who thinks they have ADHD when they go to get tested to understand to like be prepared for a battle to get it nailed. Because I feel like I'm in a really good spot now with my doctor because we've gone back and forth. Okay, let's increase the dosage. Let's decrease. Let's try this. Let's try that. We've always been willing to do that with me. And I think I'm at like the perfect dosage now that things feel good. I don't get the extra anger. I still don't eat as much as I should. But I sleep through every night now pretty much. I don't have these crazy late nights where I just don't sleep until 6 a.m. and wake up at 7 a.m. or things like that. So it is scary, but I think can be worth it, obviously. But if you are surviving through life, if you're getting through it without Adderall, I would say keep doing that, because the last thing is you kind of lose like a little bit of your personality while on Adderall. Become like, I'm naturally hilarious by trade, just by, being me, but I definitely lose that edge, lose that spark when I'm on Adderall for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's tough. And as you're saying that, just to remind anybody that's listening that it does take several times back and forth with the doctor. And you have to be willing to not say, it's not working, I'm not going to do it, Yeah.
Such as with anything in life, really. You're never going to get it right the first time. You may have a really bad experience, but that's why I always say I'm always willing to try something once, and I'm always willing to try that same thing again. Just that second time. If it's not great that second time, or if it doesn't have any kind of improvement over the first time, okay, maybe not. But yeah, kind of a life philosophy.
Well, I do have ADHD and I have depression. So I suffer with depression. And I remember the first time years ago when I took Prozac. This was in the 90s. And they said it's going to take 3 to 6 weeks to kick in or whatever. And like within 3 days, I was going, wow, this is how people normally see the world. Wow, this is just night and day. And then I have someone very close to me, not my story to tell, but that just got on Adderall, and he was telling me the same thing. I was telling him about my story about how, like, when the first time I took antidepressants, I was like, it's like giving the child a pair of glasses.
Yeah.
That has always been sitting in the back of the room like this, and you're like, oh. And so this man I know, he said the same. He said, like, I was like, he was saying, you got to be kidding me. This is how people, like, it was just such a profound effect.
Yeah, like those videos of the people, of colorblind people putting on those color glasses and then being able to see color for that first time. It's just like, wow, this is what the actual world is compared to what my brain has conceived it to be.
Oh, I just saw that for the first time. I don't know if it was on LinkedIn or something. Yeah, a guy putting on a pair, which
it's just like game changing. Yeah, really wild.
Yeah.
Do you think that the ADHD has contributed to the depression? Yeah, I'm just curious.
I think they're married.
I think they are too. Not the depression. You can't have depression. You can only have depression if you have ADHD. But I think that if you have ADHD, it can definitely make that depression worse. I just found out about something the other day. I was in a couple ADHD groups on Facebook. Most of the time, just trash groups. Just like don't really love them. But there was a post about RSD the other day. I'm not sure if you heard what that is. It's a rejection something or other, and it's like people with ADHD often have that because they take rejection harder than other people do. I believe it's RSD. Yes, rejection sensitive dysphoria.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. Rejection sensitive dysphoria
is extreme emotional sensitivity and pain triggered by the perception that a person has been rejected or criticized by important people in their life. It may be also triggered by a sense of falling short, failing to meet their own high standards or others' expectations. Wow, I'm going to have to look into this.
Yeah, I just found it the other day. And while traveling, I mean, my girlfriend has kind of said, hey, yeah, I'm willing to do this thing that I don't really understand, own our own business, do marketing, which she obviously didn't study for, and travel. And whenever she is stressed about anything, I take it to heart. That's our biggest arguments, is when she gets stressed, I then like eat that up as like, oh, I'm failing as a boyfriend, failing as the person kind of who she's put all this trust in, and it hits so much harder. And those are the worst days. So I don't know. Doesn't really lead to depression for me. I think the chemicals there, but I'm just curious if that is something that ever triggers anything for you or others that are out there, just like not knowing that rejection sensitive dysphoria is a real thing.
I am so sensitive. I get so sick of it. I'm just like, oh my God, everything, I paint these pictures of how it should be. I'm going to say this, you're going to say that, we're going to skip down the street, the sun is going to be a rainbow, and it doesn't happen. And yeah, so that's amazing. I'm going to definitely share this with my friend. And dysphoria is Greek for difficult to bear.
Yeah, it's interesting because for myself, I have, despite everything, despite all the things I've had in my life of like people just like telling me this or that, Braden, why are you're never going to achieve anything if you keep this bull crap up. But like, despite all of that, like my self-confidence is extremely high. So I don't really walk into situations or random people or things like that and wonder like, maybe I shouldn't give them the full Braden. Like when people get to meet me, they meet 100% me every single time. It's not until I get close with them that now that I realize RSD is a thing, that RSD actually affects me. So when it's people that I'm close to and they're like, and I feel like I'm letting them down and things like that, that's where it hits me the hardest. A lot of people, I think with RSD, they kind of push away potential new people or social situations because they're nervous about the potential for the rejection going forward.
That reminds me, thanks, Jamie. And then Kenny is saying, you were just bored. You're so smart.
Pretty much.
I was dating this guy that I met online, and he said something. I wish I could remember what he said, because I said, when you say that, what I hear is that you're saying I'm fat. And he was like, what are you like? What? And yeah,
And he was probably just inviting you to a hike or doing something active or something, and then we just take it. We're just like, you call me fat? Yeah, like I get it.
Oh! I think this was it. He was telling me that I wasn't exercising right because you have to exercise so that your heart reaches 120 or something. And I was just like walking or something. And I was like, when you say that, what I'm hearing, and he was like, what are you even talking about?
Yeah.
But this person that I know, he has always said to me, God, you always make me feel so this or that. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what did I say? But yeah, this is fantastic. I'm going to share this on my, and I like that the site that it's on is Attitude.
Yeah. ADD.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah. It's a great website. Absolutely.
And then there's so many benefits to ADD, and it must help you a lot in your business.
Yeah, it does. There's the great sides of ADHD, which I'm overall, if I look at not having it and being brain normal versus having it, like I will choose having ADHD every single time. The sides of I get to get so passionate about different things that happen in business all the time, and all the different things that even aren't related. I just get to go learn what I want to learn just because I feel like learning something. So I'm just constantly, studying new things or like that. And then the side of just kind of being overeager and overexcited just does well with, bringing out potential new clients or even new employees, just kind of buy into myself and the HyperSocial thing that we are. So there's definitely that side, and the constant. Not every day. I will never ever make any day the exact same as the day before. There's just always excitement, and just being excited about the different things that happen each day are definitely benefits as well. Mm-hmm. There's definitely struggles though too, of course. But.
Do you suffer with cluttering? You don't have to answer that question. Here, let's see what Jake.
Okay, so if I were to share my screen right now and you would see the amount of tabs that I have open, it's ungodly. Like people think like, oh, I have 10, 15 tabs open. I have a lot of tabs open. I can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 20, 30, 35-ish tabs open. And I haven't touched my computer since Friday. So like I've had zero reason to have all these tabs open, but I opened the computer this morning and here they all are. So that is ADHD in a nutshell.
Well, I love the word you just used, reasonality. There's no reasonality. Like it doesn't go with ADHD.
Yeah. No.
And Jamie's saying I've worked with a few clients with ADHD who have their own businesses, and it can be a struggle for them. I'm included in one of those. When it's great, when it's bad, it can be very frustrating.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, because like I'm not good with finances. I'm not good with saving money because part of ADHD is just kind of being in the moment, which again, great thing, but also like I don't plan for the future. I don't save money. So I'm grateful I'm dating Emily because she's very good at saving and planning finances and stuff accordingly. So it's been a big difference in the business. But yeah, we just made 40 grand a day. Cool. Let's spend it all.
Well, Jamie says, I don't know how you can have 35 tabs open. I actually got an email from Google saying, you need to delete some of your emails. And I had like 7,000 in, how if you have Gmail, you have the different tabs, social, promotions. Yeah. I had like 7,000 in one, 5,000 in the other. And so then, and this is very ADHD, I just went in and deleted. And I'm sure I deleted stuff that
such important things. But like, who cares? At least they're gone. At least they're gone. Not your plate.
It was like, oh my gosh. And I know I probably deleted stuff, but
hiring an assistant for emails is great. I have my assistant Morgan. She's fantastic, and she goes through all my emails. We meet twice a week to go through whatever's left that she just doesn't delete on her own, and it makes keeping up with my emails so much easier.
Oh my gosh, I never heard of such a thing.
I mean, she does a lot more things than just that, but she also that's part of her task because I will just not get to my emails, and customers will try to email me. I'm like, you have an account manager to reach out to. Like, they're supposed to be your point of contact, but they try to come to me, and I'm just like, hey, I'll respond at some point. I will definitely get there.
And then the other thing I noticed, and Jamie, my coach, is going, "Oh my God, we got to talk about your email." It's like, well, it just has never come up,
Yeah.
Yeah. Doesn't everybody have 7,000 emails?
I thought so. I
I
really
thought
thought so. I think I have a 1,000 text messages unread as well. Not 673 unread texts, and my friends are just like, "Why you never text me back?" I'm like, sometimes I'm not trying to not text you back. It's just like, I don't know. It's there. You're 673 to get through, so don't really respond to any of them instead.
Yeah. Yeah. My daughter, God bless her, she's the exact opposite. She says I have to handle all my emails before the end of the day, and I'm just like, there's seriously no possible way a human being can do that. There isn't. There's not enough time in your day to manage your emails.
Yeah, I read a book a couple years ago called Manage Your Day to Day. It was by 99U, which is an Adobe company, and it was talking about how to kind of manage your day to day. As if that part wasn't obvious. And
Jamie says I have 4 emails in my inbox right now.
4. That's impressive.
That's impossible. He's lying. He's totally lying. If when someone tells me that, I'm like, bullshit. Yeah. But anyway, I'm sure
I agree.
I know he's not lying. Chelsea fans don't lie, so go ahead.
Well, he's not a Chelsea fan, so we can't bring that
up.
Okay.
Okay.
And we're not allowed to talk about it, so.
Oh, okay.
Rules of life, apparently, if you live in London.
I thought he said, "Hey" to Braden. Oh, as well, Chelsea. Ooh, okay. I read that wrong. I thought he was saying, "I'm for Chelsea as well." Okay.
No, yeah, he was trying to say we don't talk.
Oh, look at this. He says I just deleted one. I think
he's just showing off.
He's totally showing off. Totally showing.
This is Joan's show, Jamie, and you're just taking over and just showing her up right in the middle of her own show. That's not cool.
Well, Braden, I didn't know how our talk was going to go, but this is amazing. And thank you so much for your vulnerability and your honesty. And we didn't finish about clutter, but I have clutter like everywhere. And but I know where it is. If you tell me, can you get, like, you were looking for your headset, you knew where it was.
I knew where it was.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Where someone else would say, here's Bill, who chimes in on Sundays, and sometimes Tuesdays I have a different show with me, and he and Kenny come on quite often.
Awesome.
And he's tuning in late, and he is in the East. He's in what you keep in your mind time zone you're in.
I don't elect to keep myself in Eastern time. It's Emily who, she has decided, well, so because she's kind of our head project manager, like head of our back end and all the operations side, where most of our rest of our team is on Eastern time. So if she starts at 9 a.m. West Coast time, she ends up with 45 Slack messages of people asking her questions and a whole bunch of emails. So if we just start our work days at 9 a.m. Eastern, those don't come in, and she could just kind of process them one by one as they come in throughout the next 3 hours. So that's why. So, Bill's in Pittsburgh, so I'm from Columbus, so not far at all. So that's the only reason I would not elect to start working at 6 a.m. Pacific time every day if it was my own choice. I'm more of a 10 a.m., 11 a.m. starter myself, but it does end up really far behind everybody on our East Coast team.
So then tell us how you started. I can't believe we're more than halfway through the show already. So tell us how you were starting to help your mom with something, and then how did you start Hyper? I love the name too, HyperSocial.
Yeah, it's kind of fitting based on this whole conversation, huh? I realize it's kind of an accurate representation of me, I guess. And my favorite color is orange, so kind of.
And I wore this for you. I wore this for you.
On brand. Love it. Love it. So I was working at the bank, got into network marketing as my first kind of really entrepreneur thing. Thought I was going to make a whole bunch of money with that, stopped doing that because I wanted to do some other things. I was helping my mom. She has her own business, and she teaches sports and fitness to kids in Columbus, so lots of preschoolers and things like that. So I did a little bit of that. But then, yeah, I was trying to think of how it started. Actually, I was working on a different project with some entrepreneurs I met online, and found marketing and kind of found how good I was at it. And plus, I had been doing door-to-door sales, business sales for a while. I'd traveled to Missouri to do door-to-door sales for my dad's construction company, and had done business-to-business sales with Aflac for selling, commercial insurance and things like that. So that Bill, I was in Vima Verve, the healthy energy drink company. That's the network marketing company I was involved with. So yeah. And then, I got into my own business. Shortly after I started HyperSocial in 2016, I got an offer from a hotel in Dominican Republic that said, "Hey, how would you like to come stay here for free in exchange for doing our marketing for us?" And I was like,
let me think.
It took me about 3 seconds to figure out my answer. So ended up going down there. While I was down there, I also have some friends who live in Ecuador. They said, "Hey, why don't you come stay?" They have a massive shirt operation. They make really, really cool button-up shirts down there. Lots that go to schools and things like that. So got to go stay there in Ecuador for free. After I stayed in the Dominican for 2 months, I went to go stay in Ecuador for 4 months. So my dog and I got to climb.
I just want to interject for a second. This is all serendipitously.
Serendipitously. I just kind of let things happen and say yes to a lot of things.
Exactly. Say yes. I'm writing that down. Say yes at 41:47.
What's the Jim Carrey movie? Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good one.
I try to say yes. No. If I feel safe, like physically, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, almost always the answer will be yes.
Yeah. Same, except for food. I don't like trying random foods. I've tried like alligator tongue and some of those on the cruises, but like our friend that we're here with, he eats a lot of Asian food, and some food that he tried to have us try yesterday, it was literally called numbing something. Like, I don't know, it actually numbs your tongue. And Emily tried it, but I was not willing to numb my tongue to try whatever was happening. So that's where I kind of draw the line. I'll say yes to most anything if it involves activities or doing things or traveling places or kind of jumping off of cliffs. I come down to do that. Did that in Ecuador. And that was really awesome. Actual jumping off of cliffs, but also figuratively. Until it comes to food, that's where I like it. I draw the line.
Jumping off cliffs, literally and figuratively.
Yeah.
Okay. So I interrupted you. So you went to Dominican Republic. Like you got this call out of the blue. How did that happen?
Well, I was just there was a website, I forget what it was called Trade Away or something like that, where people were just trading generally people were trading like plots of land in North Carolina for, plots of land or cars, or just like basically where a whole bartering system where you just trade what you have instead of, doing money exchanges and, stays and that. So I happened to run across a hotel that was looking for marketing, and I said, I'd be glad to come stay for free. So I kind of put the step forward, and they were like, yeah, heck yeah, let's do it. So that's kind of how it happened. It was serendipitous in that I found them, but it was also, me kind of saying, hey, I want to get out of the US. I want to go explore a little bit, and let's go see what happens. And lucky enough.
I think a really large part of serendipity and synchronicity is being aware and putting yourself out there and having an open mind of the possibilities. So I interrupted your story. You went to Dominican Republic. You went to Ecuador with the guy making shirts.
Yeah, that was amazing. My dog and I got to do a 16,000 foot mountain while we were there. My dog ran up the whole thing. I brought my big camping backpack, even though it was just a day hike, and said, just in case, because dogs get altitude sickness the way that humans do, I said, let me bring the backpack just in case he's not feeling good. I'll just toss him in it and carry him in it. Because when we were in the Dominican, they have motorcycle taxis, and so I would just throw my dog in my backpack all the time. We just ride along in the motorcycle taxi, and it was awesome. But in Ecuador, I was like, okay, 16,000 feet is pretty high. No, he ran up the whole thing. Would run ahead and then come back and start whining at me that I was moving too slow. I was like, dude, I'm moving pretty fast compared to most people. But so yeah, Ecuador was awesome. Then I got an offer from an Airbnb in Costa Rica, right on the beach in Costa Rica, to come stay there and also exchange for marketing. Stay there for 4 months until I went north to Nicaragua, stayed there for 2 months, and that was more in the jungle, again, exchange marketing services for a free stay. So I stayed across 4 different countries without paying rent for an entire year, which is pretty awesome because the business was just picking up at that point.
So how did you eat and drink, and where did you get the money for that?
There was a little bit of money coming in, so I gave myself a very, very small amount of money to spend on that, $100 a week or something like that, to just get food and drinks, things like that. And yeah, and you get to know people around. If you kind of become one of the locals, people just take care of people. So,
wow.
Yeah, and in Ecuador, mostly compared to the other ones, the Costa Rica things weren't super cheap, but in Ecuador you go get 10 apples for $1. Everything's so cheap there. So I lived in the capital of Ecuador. There's Quito. There's the south side and the north side. North side is where most of the, if foreigners are going to live in Quito, they're going to live in the north side. I lived in the south side, which was just locals, so they didn't have all of the increased pricing. I was the only blue-eyed person they'd ever seen, and I was stupid enough to dye my hair bright blonde while I was there. So if people saw me, they knew that, oh hey, he doesn't belong here. But people still didn't care. They didn't try to gouge me on pricing because I was foreign. They just did, it's like, yeah, okay, 10 apples for $1. Like everything's the same. So they didn't really have inflation because of foreigners traveling in.
And you're not short.
Not short, and Ecuadorians are short.
Yeah, and so they could see you miles away with that.
Absolutely, with blonde hair, and just walking through the mall and then just staring. It was the only time I've ever been in a minority in my entire life, and I was like, this is really wild. And yeah, I added to that by dyeing my hair blonde. So whatever, here we are.
My gosh, I love you.
Not a proud decision, but it happened anyways.
Amazing. So tell us all the services that your business does. Oh, before we get there, have you seen Nomadland?
Nomadland.
It's a movie. That just won some Academy Awards, and it's about it's a different kind of travel than you're doing, but it's about a population of America, like the poor elderly who don't want to or can't pay rent anymore or mortgage anymore. They get a van and they just travel around.
I haven't seen it nor heard of it. Yeah, but it sounds awesome.
It's a different, like I said, it's a different demographic than you, because these people, but they just go from, and then they're almost, some of them are like migrant workers.
Okay. And
so I guess Amazon hires people at Christmas time. So they go to Amazon, then they went
kind of just picking up odd jobs.
Yeah, and then they went to like a carnival, I think, and then they went to pick something.
Old people are the most fascinating thing at carnivals. Like when you go to a carnival, you're like, okay, 3-legged man or bearded lady, but then they just have the section of old. Like, what are old people doing at a carnival? Like, it's not like they're just like some crazy looking thing. They're just gray haired.
No, they're like selling the hot dogs and stuff.
Okay. They're not like part of the acts.
No, they're not part. They're not like
just like old people juggling on an elephant. Like, yeah, I happen to have this trait in my thing that I learned when I was a kid. Okay, that makes so much more sense.
I'm 75 years old, but look what I can do.
Yeah. Exactly. Just pin fire and whatever. And okay, now that makes more sense. They sell the hot dogs. Okay, I'll cut up.
Then there was one crop like walnuts or something, I forget, that they went, but anyway, it's interesting.
It's like Paris Hilton and Nicole Richie and that show that they had 10-15 years ago, where they just went and did random jobs just to try and do them. I forget the name of that show.
My kids must have been just past that, or I didn't see it, but
yeah, you're lucky. It wasn't. I'm not saying it was a high quality show, but it was a show.
I'm going to have to look it up. And then is any of this based on or as a result of Tim Ferriss's book?
No, I've never read this book. The 4-Hour Work Week, is that the one you're talking about? Yeah. I've had it referenced to me hundreds of times, but it's actually interesting. Like while we travel, we do work quite a bit. You know, most weeks that I have are over 40 hours. So I don't have any kind of 4-hour work week, any kind of close. Plus, I just really enjoy what we do. So it's like, why would I only want to work 4 hours on this when I, what am I going to do for the other bajillion hours in the week? So no, yeah, none of it was really based on that. It was just based on, while I was traveling in 2017, I figured out that I work better and I work harder when I'm in new destinations. Just that ADHD thing of keeping things new.
Totally.
It helps me, keeps my consistency of what the other stuff that I do. If I'm just at home and I can get distracted by TV and hanging out with friends and doing all this stuff, the work ethic and rate for myself drops drastically when I'm like, oh, hey, there's a giant mountain in front of me, or hey, I'm working at the beach today, and it just constantly changes. That helps my brain kind of just continue to do what I'm doing. So that's kind of where it stemmed from.
Yeah. Because I know when I was getting my master's degree, I jokingly said, I would rather, like, all of a sudden I need to clean the toilet with a toothbrush. It's better than studying this stuff. I need
Absolutely
to get this book. Let's see what Jamie says. Get the audio version.
Yeah, audiobooks are way better than the regular books.
For us, they are. Yeah.
Yeah.
For us, they are. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The amount of driving that we do too, it just like, you just do a drive from, like, we're driving from Portland to Boise, which is 4.5, 5 hour drive. And that's half a book right there while you're just driving, doing nothing else. So may as well get the brain working a little bit.
So when one drives, the other's working?
I wish. We both don't work very well while driving. Just kind of get road sickness or things like that. So no, mostly we find a good spot. So I do a lot of research, we don't really plan out anything, but I'm saying, oh, hey, we're going to go stay near Portland. Let me go look at what, campsites are on this app. Let me go see if we can go find a spot next to a small town and see if I can go look at what cell phone towers are near and which way they're pointing and what kind of bands they are on them.
Exactly. That's
all
what
that kind of stuff to figure out. So if we stay near small towns, mostly they don't get the congestion that staying near San Diego or staying near Los Angeles would get on their towers, because you have 8 billion people using the same tower. So now Verizon's like, hey, we're going to slow you down. Staying near small towns, they don't really do that because there's only 1,000 people on the same tower comparatively to 20,000. So
oh my God, this is brilliant. This is brilliant. I moved to the Bay Area for a few years, and I was like, I am in Silicon Valley and I have the worst internet, the worst cell phone. People were saying, hey, here's a tip. Here's a tip from Jamie. He says, listen to the books at 2 speed. Speed.
I've never done it at times 2 speed, but that is interesting.
I'm going to try it myself.
Yeah. I could get to the whole book on our drive from Portland to Boise.
Definitely. Yeah.
Double up.
And sometimes I pick, if it's an audiobook that's like 12 hours long, it's like, I'm not going to do it. I try to limit them to like 5 hours.
Yeah, it's like I don't know, most books that I start and I get into, like I just read the E-Myth Revisited, or I guess listened to the E-Myth Revisited. I made it through, I don't know, the first half of the book, and I realized, okay, I understand everything that we're talking about, so I'm not going to keep on reading. Like I get the concept, I get where we're going with it, check mark, and then you move on to the next thing.
I don't know if that's our ADHD too, but if there's 7, like Stephen Covey's 7 habits, just tell me what they are. Like I don't really need it to read
what and why. Yeah, just the synopsis.
Done.
Agreed.
Jamie says work your way up to it. Start at 1.5. Ease into it.
Jamie, we mentioned earlier talking about jumping off of cliffs. So I bought a mountain bike in December, and it hasn't worked all the way. My friend has been trying to help me, and he says, there's all these kind of little screws on it. And he's like, turn it a quarter of a turn and let's see what happens. And I'm like, okay, a quarter of a turn. Okay, yeah, quarter of a turn done. I'm like, it's either a 1x or it's a 7x. So there's not going to be a 1.5.
I didn't know that was ADHD. Okay.
I don't know if it's ADHD either. It might just be a Braden thing. I just said I'm either going to turn it 8 times or I'm not going to turn it at all.
Exactly.
There's no quarter turn in my brain.
There's no like second gear
yeah, exactly. It's first to 5th.
Exactly. Just go to
kind of just fly through it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Yeah. What else? What other way is there to be? I don't understand. I don't understand the question, right?
Like, if you're going to do something, why do it halfway? I may try mounts. I saw a post when I was looking for my bike. He posted his bike. He was in Vegas, and he posted a bike. And mountain bikes can go up to really expensive. And he had 2 bikes for sale for $20,000, and these were complete top of the line bikes, now $13,000 each. And he was like, "Yeah, my girlfriend and I decided to try mountain biking. Decided it wasn't for us." Like, if I was going to buy a $13,000 bike, I'm going to go all in and ride that thing for the next 6 months straight before I determined that mountain bike, they gave it one try and they're like, "Yeah, really not for us." I mean, I guess they did go all in with buying the most expensive bike they possibly could, but they didn't even really give that the full go of that bike. So, yeah, I don't know.
Except for when my ADHD kicks in, and then I'm like, that was fun. But anyway, we're almost out. I want you to tell us about your business, how we can get a hold of you, what you can do for us. And you'll get a copy of this video so you can do whatever you want with it. And so just tell us how to contact you and what you can do for us.
Sure. Yeah. If you want to connect with me, LinkedIn is a great place to do that. That's how Joan and I met, was on LinkedIn. What my company does is we work with business-to-business companies. So anybody who sells a service or a product to other businesses, or specific people at other businesses. I guess we call that in our company B2B-ish. If you want to sell something just to CEOs, even though it's not related to their business itself, B2B-ish. So we help kind of find and create relationships with those people that you want to sell your services or products to. So we do most of our work through LinkedIn. We do some, cold email outreach as well, but basically it's kind of a lead generation type thing. We try to focus around quality of relationships compared to just selling. It's a, very relational type sales thing. So we're kind of a lead generation company that helps keep that prospecting part, that boring part of cold calling or all the other things that are involved in sales, door knocking, and just say, "Hey, let us take care of that part for you," and let you continue to kind of flourish on the relationships that we start. So yeah, people can connect with me on LinkedIn. I think that's the best place to do it. Try to post not just typical content that's posted on LinkedIn. Try to have fun with it as well. Post stories of the road, videos of Roscoe. He's our CFO, Chief Fun Officer, not Financial Officer. He doesn't. We don't let him touch the finances. And yeah, so that's kind of a quick high level thing of what it is that we do. And we've been really lucky over the last year and a half, or I guess a year now, since COVID, to where a lot of businesses have been shutting down. Our clients have been able to come to us and say, "Hey, because of you guys, I've got to, quit my job and go full time with my business. Or because of you guys, I've got to hire more employees. I don't have to worry about if there's food on my table for my family," and things like that. So it's been super, super rewarding over the last year to experience that with all the struggles that people are going through. When people come to us, it's just like lots of great words and amazing stuff, which just inspires me to work harder and do more to keep on improving that for our clients.
Nice. So after Ecuador, where you climbed that did you say 60,000 feet?
16.
Oh, 16. I was like, in my head,
60,000 would be
feet?
Above the planes. Yeah, twice as high as planes go. So.
And so what is Whitney? Whitney's like 15 or 16.
Whitney's 14.5.
14.5.
Yeah, Whitney just starts like a lot lower. So the one I did in Ecuador that was 16,000, you took a cable car to 12,000. It was still not saying it was easy, but it was 12,000 to 16,000. This one is, I think we'll start at 7.5, and then go all the way up to 14,400. So we're going with some friends who we have to leave our dogs at the camp that we're staying at overnight, which is at 13,500 feet. And then the next day we'll summit and then come back down and finish out. So nice. Our first multi-day hike with Emily and I, and we're jumping off a bridge and just saying, "Okay, let's go to the highest one in the continental US." So,
and have you been training or no?
I mean, we
Training,
hiked 10 miles yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
My dog has a collar that's a step tracker, and we have a goal set to hit 25,000 steps every day with him for his steps. So we're constantly doing things with him. In terms of like going up into altitude, everything has snow on it. So like we went to go do Lassen Volcano and you couldn't do it. And we went to go do Mount Shasta and you couldn't do it because it was just all snowed off. And we went to go do Mount McCullough in South Oregon, and you can look, there's a couple apps you can kind of see how much snow is still there on these places. And Mount McCullough is still like, when you're getting close to the peak, it had anywhere between 48 inches and 75 inches of snow, which is, I don't know, 4 to 6 feet of snow. It's not something you can just like casually walk through that much snow. So haven't really been, but it is a 2-day trek. So we do have like an entire day to get to 13,000 feet. So we don't have to really rush.
Yeah.
There's no hurry to get there. So we'll see.
All right. Good luck.
We don't make it. We don't make it. We're not going to push ourselves past the point of altitude sickness and end up killing ourselves over it. We ended up luckily on this trip. So if we don't hit it this year, we'll get a new whatever passport or thing, and then we'll do it. We'll try it again next year.
Yeah, it's going to be there.
I hope so. I don't think it's going anywhere.
I can't thank you enough for coming on, Braden. I've had so much fun. My whole entire spirit, energy is just all uplifted. I feel energized to get things done today.
Same.
So,
Same. I'm gonna go take a nap.
Exactly. But before anything, I'm going to take a nap. Exactly.
Yeah. Where all the good stuff starts, I'm gonna take a nap.
Okay. So what's going to happen now is I'm going to put you back in the green room, and we'll be off live and back where we started.
Okay.
So see you, everyone. Bye. Thanks for joining. Bye. Wait, I didn't mean to do that. I mean,
We're still on.